Tensions rose at the Lagos State House of Assembly as lawmakers decried the presence of armed security officers within the premises, calling it an attempt to interfere with their democratic right to elect a leader. Despite the security standoff, the members have reaffirmed their support for Mojisola Meranda as a new speaker, passing a unanimous vote of confidence in her leadership. News Central's correspondent Chidima Ona reports.
It was an emotional moment in the Lagos State House of Assembly as Speaker Mojisola Meranda sat, overcome with tears, while members voiced their unwavering support for her leadership. Lawmakers also condemned the presence of armed security personnel outside the assembly, calling it an unjustified interference in legislative process.
Our fathers fought for democracy. Some laying down their lives for democracy. Is this the way to tell them? What has happened this afternoon is, to say the least, condemnable, reprehensible, worrisome, and pedestrian. So unprofessional from the GSS.
That the governor of Lagos State, that all our political leaders to stop this shenanigans before it reaches to death of any members of the Lagos State House of Assembly, because the House has been desecrated and arguments come to the chamber with weapons.
The controversy surrounding the security deployment has only strengthened the lawmakers' resolve. They insist that a choice of speaker must stand and that no external pressure will deter them from upholding democratic principles.
On behalf of the entire members that seated here today, 36 of us that seated here today, that we have elected you as our speaker and that we have removed the former speaker as our speaker. Madam Speaker, we are calling on our father. He's a father of 40 members that he has raised over time, 40 members that he has nurtured to people we have today, 40 members that we serve him and he believed in us. Madam Speaker, we are calling on our president to help us.
That is the law. This is an act, a federal act, protecting the chamber from what happened today. So I want to join my colleagues in calling on the DSS to address the invasion of this parliament.
With political tensions still high, lawmakers have passed a vote of confidence in Mojisola Meranda, sending a strong message that the legislative arm of government will not be undermined. In Lagos, reporting for News Central, I am Chidima Ona.
More insight on this, we're joined by political commentator Jide Johnson. Mr. Johnson, as always, it's good to have you join us. If you can hear me, let's just get started, shall we? I mean, what do you make of the heavy security presence at the Lagos Assembly held plenary today?
Thank you for having me. Well, this didn't come to me as a surprise. Yesterday, while I was passing through the premises of Lagos State House of Assembly, I saw the heavy presence of police around the corridor of the Lagos State House of Assembly and the Lagos House, and I saw that to be something uncommon. However, the entrance of the police or the security agencies, let me just put it under that umbrella, into the premises of Lagos State House of Assembly and into the Hallowed Chamber of the Lagos State Assembly is a desecration of democracy. It is, and I'm sure that it is important for the security agencies and agencies of government to fish out those that were responsible for carrying out this heinous crime against the state. There is what is called legislative immunity. I ask this question: Can security agencies seal up the office of the governor, or can they seal up the office of a local government chairman, or can they seal up the office of the president? Now, there are three basic institutions of democratic governance: the legislature, the executive, and then the judiciary. Now, the security agencies are part and parcel of the executive arm of government. Who authorized them? Even in representative democracy that we practice, there's what is called legislative immunity, and that's why the chamber, the premises of the legislative assembly, which is called the People's Assembly, is immune to security agencies' control and interference. For example, you cannot do anything within the premises of the State House of Assembly or the National Assembly without the authorization of the Speaker or the Sergeant at Arms. And we are seeing this nonsense democracy being treaded upon by, as far as I'm concerned, those that are concerned, those that are responsible. Who issued that order? Who are those that carry out that invasion? Those people need to be brought to book and they need to be disciplined, because the optics is not good for Nigerian democracy, and then is something which every Democrat should frown out.
Right.
If there are differences, it should be resolved by the legislature themselves. There's no need for the intervention for an extension of the executive, which the security agencies are part and parcel of, except there is a substitute court order.
Mr. Judy Johnson, I wanted to ask you, and I'm sure other persons might be watching and just saying, it's just the presence of security forces. How in any sense did they affect the autonomy of the Lagos State House of Assembly? What would be your reply?
Now, the presence is the person that is charged with the responsibility of inviting security agencies into the Alo chamber and the sacred premises of the assembly, not even Lagos State House, of the legislative assembly, is the presiding officer, will be the speaker, will be the president of the Senate. Now, who are those that invited? You and I should be interested. Who is the person that invited these characters to come and desecrate what is my assembly, what is your own assembly? There will always be issues with legislative matters can only be resolved by the legislator themselves, not by an external interference. And you and I should frown at it. And that's the reality. Right. I ask this question: Can security agencies go and seal off the offices of executive, say the governor or local government chairman? And we have seen it across the length and breadth of Nigeria, whereby security agencies have desecrated the Alo chamber of the legislature. And it's not good for democracy. You look, let me just tie it up with this. The institution that suffers most when there's military intervention in politics is the legislature. Every other institution, the executive, the judiciary, they function. However, the real institution of democracy is the legislature. And we should not support any desecration, any attempt to subjugate that legislative immunity, that legislative authority, that legislative supremacy. Every Nigerian should frown at it.
Now, if one sees a physical, how might the visible show of force in the assembly affect the political landscape in Lagos, particularly in terms of public perception and the relationship between the executive and legislative arms?
And look prior to this, the DSS invited 2 members, I think some 2 weeks ago, invited 2 members of it has affected governance. There's no way it did not affect governance. It has further polarized the state. We are no longer talking about the issue of governance. It's about the speakership or non-speakership of the Lagos State House of Assembly as what has dominated the political landscape of Lagos in the last 4 weeks or thereabouts. And at the end of the day, it is governance that suffer at the end of the day, and it is you and I that are affected, because policies that will shape our lives are not being addressed. It is the issue of political headship of the State House of Assembly that has dominated the conversation and the discussion we have had. So governance is suffering from it.
Well, I must say thank you so much, Judy, for taking out the time to join us today. Mr. Judy Johnson, the political analyst, just giving us a bit of insight regarding the heavy security presence at the Lagos State Assembly plenary session today. Once again, many thanks. Let's switch gears now, as we're about to tell you that the sacked chairman of the Irewole local government in Osun State, Remi Abbas, has been shot dead by unknown gunmen at the local government secretariat in Ikire on Monday. Eyewitnesses said the attackers stormed the secretariat in broad daylight, firing multiple gunshots. The Osun State Police Command confirmed the incident and stated that investigations had begun. Abbas was among the local government chairmen sacked by the Federal High Court sitting in Osogbo on November 2022. Away from that, the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps has warned the Nigeria Labour Congress against its planned March 1st shutdown of telecommunication services in response to the recent 50% tariff hike. The Private Telecommunications and Communications Senior Staff Association of Nigeria and the Association of Telecommunications Companies of Nigeria similarly pushed back against the NLC's planned boycott of telecom services and shutdown of telecom infrastructure, arguing that such actions are misguided and could harm the industry. The spokesman for the NSCDC, Babawale Afolabi, said that the agency had deployed operatives to the base stations to prevent any action by the protesters. The NLC announced its intention to shut down telecoms operations around the country if the tariff hike was not reversed by the end of February. And now to discuss this, we're joined by socio-political analyst and former national coordinator, Middle Belt Patriots, Zari Yusuf. Mr. Yusuf, many thanks for joining us. How would you assess this decision by the federal government to deploy security agents in light of the potential public unrest over the telecoms tariff hike, or better yet, the protest? Let's leave it there.
All right, thank you so much. It's an honor to be here.
Honor to have you.
Yes, to begin with, for the Civil Defense Corps basically to be deployed to either stop or suppress any civil action, which basically is the right of every Nigerian. I think it's unfortunate. We are just in a country where things have already fallen apart. So you see a lot of unlawful actions. You see a lot of unfortunate things happening. When you take what the telecommunications companies are doing is that they have tasted the waters, and basically it's almost a country where there is no law. It's almost a failed state. So basically you just sit down and you shoot a 50% tariff hike in the services you are supposed to render to citizens, considering even the economic state of the country. You would hope, or you would think, that the federal government would object to that. Yes, there are governments that look after the interests of their citizens, which is unfortunate. And first of all, I'd even tell you that my own suspicion would be that whatever it is the telecommunications companies did is basically in tune with possibly what the government forced them to do, which would likely go back to the coffers of the government to be stolen one way or the other. Because ordinarily, there are regulatory bodies that should look at these things before they happen. But like I said, it's almost a failed state where basically everybody could do whatever he wants. And when you hurt the masses, it is also okay to turn security agencies against them and tell them, do not cry. So it's an unfortunate situation. It's evil birthing evil. Evil has birthed evil to fix evil. Okay, right. So I do not necessarily blame the telecommunication companies for doing that. Like I said, my suspicion is that I just see the work of the federal government. That's all.
Right. I mean, yeah. There most likely was cites, security risks, concerns. And so one has to ask at this point, what specific security risks are the authorities anticipating in the aftermath of a planned protest or during a planned protest for the NLC, with the NLC?
Being organized by the NLC, who equally have their own issues with planning and calling off, I do not see any security risks, in that regard. It's not actually a mob kind of action. It's just an organized protest, a boycott, shutting down and all of that. It's the most, the peaceful protest they want to do, whatever they want to do, is the most aggressive form of exercising their rights. as it is. No stones being thrown, nobody being killed, no tires being burnt or anything. But of course, to have a premise to crush any form of protest by the masses, and I'd say normally the NLC is supposed to be representative of the pains of the masses, regardless what sector takes that harsh decision. So, but it's an attempt by the government to ensure that henceforth, whatever decisions are taken, nobody does anything about it. So anybody could wake up in the morning and decide how he wishes to sell anything, and they get away with it. But I will still emphasize again, I still do not blame the telecommunication companies. I just see a government who intends to squander every money in the coffers of the government, to borrow and steal, and then at the end of the day, to force masses to pay up via exerting the taxes on them. So I think basically the telecommunications companies might just be trying to save themselves as well. I'm not exonerating them, but I see the source of the problem as the same people that are trying to use the civil defense to either stop the protest or end up crushing it. I don't see any threat coming from it as far as I am concerned, except it is the government through the civil defense that intends to instigate some form of violence to have a pretext to do whatever it is they want.
Right. Mr. Yusuf, one of the problems one of the things that critics have, argued about Nigerian government is the communication when it comes to, policy change or policy statements. They said the communication has always been poor. Do you think that in this case it has been effective, that the government has been effective in communicating its stance on the telecom tariff hike and, and the need for a tariff hike for telecommunication, for the telecommunications sector? And how best can they improve its messaging to avoid escalations such as this? Is it that it's an all roundtable discussion with all stakeholders involved? Your take?
At this stage, it's very, very anti-masses to think that hiking the prices of services, taxing people is the best way to sort the issue, because already people find it difficult to survive. A responsible government would have been taking steps to find the best ways to make life easy for people. But basically not by this. It began with, the price of PMS. Okay? It began with the price of PMS. Telling people you will fix the economy by starving them, telling people you will fix the economy by killing their power to purchase anything, telling people you will ease their pain by making it almost impossible to rent accommodation, telling people you will ease their pain by trying to make it impossible to communicate. So it doesn't make sense. And that's why I said it's just a government that borrows and steals, gets private jets and does all of that, and then turn back to the masses to extract whatever it is they have failed to provide the masses. So it's not about communication. If something is evil and wrong, no matter how rightly it's communicated, it doesn't make any sense. So it's not a problem of the government failing to communicate its policies. These policies are anti-masses. These policies are not, I doubt if they are even in charge of what they are doing. It just looks to me as if wherever they are borrowing monies from, whoever runs them or whatsoever as puppets basically dictate all of these things to create a good market for certain kinds of people at the expense of the masses. I think that's basically what's happening. And there isn't any way you could communicate evil properly to people and they will accept it. It's not going to work.
So you keep using evil, and it scares me. But we're out of time. I must say thank you for joining us. Social political analyst Zari Yusuf just giving us a bit of insight on the planned protest, and NSCDC saying that they're going to call off that protest and do everything they can to boycott it. Once again, thank you. Let's go on a short break, shall we? You're watching News Now on News Central Television. When we return, Nigerians demand probe of substandard petrol as retailers back NNPCL. We have the details after this break. Stay with us. And you're welcome back. Nigerians have called on the federal government to conduct fresh tests to confirm the quality of petrol sold in filling stations across the country. This came amid allegations from a viral video that the petrol from the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited doesn't last in fuel tanks. NNPCL had, in a statement on Saturday by its spokesperson Olufemi Shoneye, denied claims that it sells substandard petrol with a high burn rate. The statement came in reaction to a viral video claiming that its petrol does not last long when used. The NNPCL's reaction comes even as the Petrol Products Retail Outlet Owners Association of Nigeria have backed its claim that its fuel of the quality standard. And now to security matters, where at least 6 civilians were killed in a mistaken airstrike by the Nigerian army in Katsina State. Residents say an army jet dropped a bomb on Hot and Zaka village, Safana district on Saturday while pursuing bandits who had earlier attacked a police base, killing 3 security personnel. The Nigerian military has yet to comment, but Amnesty International reports the death toll as 10 and is demanding an urgent investigation. This is the latest in a series of accidental military airstrikes in northern Nigeria, with previous incidents killing dozens of civilians. Authorities continue battling criminal gangs terrorizing communities, but residents fear the increasing toll of collateral damage. Earlier, we're joined by security analyst and executive director, Elixir Trust Foundation, Emmanuel Ikule, who shared his thoughts on this. Take a look.
That trained personnel like the Nigerian Armed Forces should have the professional expertise to be able to address these concerns better, using kinetic and non-kinetic means in carrying out interventions or in their operations. But over time, it has not been so, and it has led to the lives, the killings of a lot of citizens. And there's hardly any state in the northeast or even northwest that we have not got this type of report before. So for me, I'm looking at there's need for reevaluation of their operations in the northeast and northwest. Immediate examinations of their operations. At the same time, Nigeria should now start also looking at how they can start using the laws, existing laws, to also punish persons responsible for these mistakes.
Staying in Borno, donning colorful outfits and showing off vibrant cultural displays, hunters in Nigeria's northeast gathered to celebrate their victories in supporting the military to restore peace and protect the region. Traditional dancers showcasing the hunters' heritage took center stage, with participants wielding their handcrafted weapons while performing symbolic movements. News Central Zumaro Kirawa witnessed the occasion and now reports.
In the bush, alongside the military, are hunters on a mission to assess a deserted community for a settlement in Nigeria's northeast. The hunters have been instrumental in the counter-insurgency operations in the region. Gunshots rent the air as the Borno hunters celebrate years of victory with cheers.
Saasidia Karina also look 27 local government all gabadea subtin. Am kare kulo sabsa dazi. Karina samma bonye isa am kulo rochistuma baro walja ke yae ga kulo ndazuin de siku am shima de lade fulunye kwalle aro aw adai samno sabtiyo dia lade bularo chisanye bade.
The local hunters submit all their guns here, an age-old tradition known as Zaupaltu, which has been sustained to pray and seek God intervention in all their operations.
Local government osoro lenyen, bala osoro lenyen, jamandin dara na son beji, chidanyen, shin mukono.
Maigana Maidurma, leader of the hunters, alongside his team of lieutenants, arrived the venue of the historic gathering, which commenced with the slaughtering of sacrificial animal.
Mirakaran and their soldier, police, civil defense, civilian GTP, and the hunters landed at Lete Daniel Knasar J, Nakadan, Nasarapandena, and the Klaller Ndiabulandian, what Gonyana Inshallah, Bibi is in Latala, Chidanian.
Women are also a critical component of the hunting community.
Nakumande and their Sadana also, Masquachira Sadin, Ala Duno Zaraduna Asra, Ala Kilewa Sule, and the Urata Rulera, Legana de Ala and their Laisulu.
On the sidelines, herbalists also showcase their talent amidst cheers from children.
Usually our forefathers used to organize this type of occasion as we did now more than 90 years now. insha Allah kuma ba za mu gaza ba duk abin da gwamnati ta ce za mu yi insha Allah za mu bi.
Their joy now is the return of peace after over 13 years of insurgency that dislocated countless communities in the lectured region.
These are gunshots of joy by local hunters in Nigeria's northeast, and there for them to celebrate years of victory after supporting the military and other armed forces in Nigeria's northeast in the quest to finding lasting peace in the region. In Maiduguri for News Central, Umaru Kirawa.
Efforts by the Enugu state government to discourage its residents from complying with a Monday sit-at-home order imposed by the outlawed indigenous people of the Biafra group may not have yielded the best results. News Center's Marshal Anthony Onoye took a tour of the capital city and gave us updates only hours ago about how many are still mindful of attacks by unknown gunmen. Take a look.
In Enugu State, we are the capital city, and what you have is what we would rather call irregular movement. There's nothing regular about the way the people seem to be getting along. You know, the sit-at-home has been here for a while, where people are mandated to stay at home against their will, but thanks to the governor, you have him instructing that the sit-at-home ceases to exist, and he has said that anyone who doesn't turn up at work should not be paid. So what you find is essential workers trying to find a way to get from their houses to their places of work, and then you have majority of the Enugu residents still locking themselves behind closed doors in their homes for fear of being lynched by the unknown gunmen, what has come to be known as the unknown gunmen, or the suspected IPOB. You'd also have some set of people like the commercial bus drivers and the commercial keke operators, try to go out to see the passengers that they can carry along. Their movements are at its very, very minimal. For us to even trying to get around has been pretty difficult because there are places where you venture into and find that not a single person is on the road. So you want to be careful and cautionary when flying such roads.
Also speaking, a resident, Dr. Amos Onuvu, provided some insights into the real cost of the sit-at-home order. Take a look.
This sit-at-home problem has a social and economic impact in the society in Enugu as a whole. One is the issue of school education. We are affected so much to the extent that you see most parents, especially the private, the government schools that you are under compulsion to come to school, to report to school, but in that of the private, some of the parents will not want their children to come out. So we say, okay, let him stay or her stay home, then from Tuesday you can continue going because anything can happen. And nobody, even most of the victims, nothing was wrong. So you see people burying their loved ones, and nobody wants to experience such. Then another point is on the issue of it has reduced individual earning. Sometimes there are people in the society, they only depend on the income they can make on a daily basis for them to survive. But this sit-at-home problem has become so terrible that to come out is a very big problem. So most of them stay at home, maybe going hungry, and you can know the effect of going hungry in the Enugu State.
And it's very sad to see that the East still has to continue to grapple with the sit-at-home order and thus the cost of what it means for economy. We switch gears away from the East and now to the Southwest, where the Pan-Yoruba social political group Afenifere, in collaboration with the friend and family and friends of its leader, the late Ayo Adebanjo, said a candlelight procession is holding in honor of the elder statesman who passed away on Friday, aged 96 years. Recall that Pa Adebanjo died at his Lekki, Lagos residence, and torrent of tributes has continued to pour in from Nigerians across the globe in his honor through messages and visits by the movers and shakers of the society. Afenifere announced the planned candlelight procession on Monday in a release issued by its spokesperson, Prince Justice Faloye. As you can see there, we're bringing you live footages from his residence, his Lekki residence in Lagos State, where the candlelight procession is about to begin. On the screen there is the Labour Party presidential candidate for 2023, just going around as more friends and, elder statesmen and residents are coming in to pour their encomiums and eulogize the late elder statesman. But Ayo Adebanjo was a force to reckon with, whether from Afenifere and his contribution to nation-building, Pan-Africanism and federalism for Nigeria. Residents of Ogbe Ijo Kingdom in Warri Southwest Local Government Area, Delta State, are calling for government presence. The distraught residents say they have nothing to show forth for the fact that they are an oil host community. Earlier, our correspondent Biola Festu spoke to some affected residents, and here's what they had to say. Take a look.
Right now in our community, we have so many projects that have not been done, where the indigents are going through a lot, where life is very harsh on them. As you can see, we don't have proper drinkable water in our place, where there is no fresh water we can drink, where there is no school, there is no secondary school in our places, there is no hospital for women and children to go. I think there is no light in our places. So I think the people are living in abject poverty and in the son of the soil. I think it's very wise for government to come to our aid. So I'll plead and appeal to the government to come to our aid, because these people, they are passing through a lot and they are distributing to Nigeria stick. They are one of the producers in the oil sector here. So I appeal to the federal government and the state government to please bring some projects to escape the people from this.
The Police Service Commission Monday approved the appointment of Olun Dari Moshood Jimo as the Commissioner of Police in Lagos State. Until his appointment, CP Jimo was Commissioner of Police Ports Authority, Eastern Ports. He was formerly Force Public Relations Officer and later Deputy Commissioner, Airport Police, Deputy Commissioner, Finance and Administration, and Deputy Commissioner General in charge of investigations. Congratulations to him. Away from that, the Federal High Court in Abuja has granted former Minister of Petroleum, Diziani Alison Madueke, permission to amend her suit challenging an order obtained by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, for final forfeiture of her seized assets. Justice Ian Ekwo granted the request on Monday after the motion was moved by Diziani's lawyer, Godwin Ibo. EFCC counsel Divine Oguru did not raise any objection to the ex-minister's plea to amend her suit. Ekwo gave Diziani 5 days to file and serve the amended processes and granted EFCC 14 days from the date of service to respond. The minister was then adjourned until March 17th for further mention. Nobel laureate, poet and literary icon Professor Wole Soyinka has tasked citizens within the literary community to embrace creativity, saying it is a gift that should be nurtured. Professor Soyinka, while speaking during the unveiling of a creative hub for children in Abuja aimed at developing their potentials and nurturing their talents, says that there is no limit to what the human mind can achieve when given the right environment and atmosphere to thrive. Amadi Nuyu reports.
From the world of artificial intelligence to man's foray into space, from the achievement of the Renaissance, explicitly captured through architecture, art, technology and prose, the last 100 years has indeed witnessed unimaginable strides, spearheaded by the creativity of the human mind. While many believe there is no limit to what the mind can achieve, some say there is no need to set limitations, but embrace creativity, allowing it to express itself in whatever form it chooses to manifest.
Don't belabor the gift. Let it emerge in its own right. When it's ready, you'll be astonished. And it can be a musical phrase, It can be observation of a unique relationship between people, and then you want to explore how they came to have that kind of relationship. It's a question of just opening your mind to take up what others have uttered.
As literary minds converge on Abuja to unveil this creative hub, also known as Creatent, dedicated to nurturing the talents of children, Nobel laureate, poet, and literary icon, Professor Wole Soyinka, while giving a keynote address, says that the creative mind knows no boundaries as it continues to explore the frontiers of imagination.
Don't worry if you wanted to write the play and it just didn't come out at that particular time. Go and do other things. Go and play soccer if you like. Go and listen to music. Go and see your friends. Have a party. Join a construction gang, occupying themselves with community activity, such as assisting, building one, anything whatsoever, which has a tinge of creativity in it. And you'll be astonished one day, it's ready. It's all inside and it comes out in a burst.
The convener of the event had a word for those who appreciate the value of creativity, urging them to explore the world through creative thinking with the power of the human brain.
The message is for people to find what within them may galvanize and indeed channel their thinking.
The hub will be dedicated to nurturing the creativity of young Nigerians. In Abuja for News Central, I am Amadine Uyi.
A weekend attack in Benin has left soldiers dead, with the army eliminating 17 unnamed assailants in response. This is according to military sources. On Monday, the attack took place in the Beninese town of Karimama, located in the nature reserve which extends across the porous Niger and Burkina Faso borders. Attacks in northern Benin have increased in recent years, with authorities blaming members of the Islamic State group and Al-Qaeda-linked jihadists based across the border. A diplomatic source said last month that 121 Beninese military personnel have been killed between 2021 and December of 2024. Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov has dismissed the involvement of European nations in potential Ukraine ceasefire talks, accusing them of seeking to prolong the conflict rather than resolve it. His remarks come as European leaders gather in Paris for an emergency summit on Ukraine, while he prepares for a visit to Saudi Arabia for discussions with U.S. officials. Lavrov criticized Europe's handling of the crisis since Russia's annexation of Crimea in 2014, saying the continent had its chances to resolve the conflict but failed.
И использовать его, чтобы укрепить Украину в военном отношении. То есть философия-то у европейцев никуда не делась, поэтому я не знаю, что им делать за переговорным столом. Если они будут вот так выцыганивать какие-то лукавые идеи про заморозку конфликта, а сами по обычаю, по своему нраву и привычкам будут иметь в виду продолжение войны, то зачем их туда приглашать?
Egypt and Cyprus finalized agreements on Monday to facilitate the export of gas from Cyprus's offshore fields to Egypt for liquefaction and subsequent re-export to Europe. This initiative aims to strengthen the Eastern Mediterranean's position as an energy hub. The agreements signed at the 2025 Egypt Energy Show establish a long-awaited connection between Cyprus' gas reserve and Egypt's liquefied natural gas LNG facilities, utilizing Egypt's infrastructure for processing and shipping gas to European markets. The agreement focused on gas from the Kronos Block 6 site, licensed to a consortium of Italy's Eni and France's Total, which will be proposed, or rather processed, at Egypt's Zohr facilities, liquefied at Damitias, and then exported to Europe. European fears reached record highs on Monday, primarily driven by defense stocks, as political leaders in the region convened an emergency summit regarding the Ukraine conflict. This came in light of increasing U.S. pressure to enhance military spending for security. The pan-European stock 600 index gained 0.4%, with defense and aerospace stocks soaring nearly 4% to all-time highs, having more than doubled in value since Russia's invasion of Ukraine 3 years ago. While uncertainty lingers in the market, investors anticipate robust earnings growth in the sector, fueled by rising defense budgets, termed a super cycle by analysts. Additionally, banks saw a 1.2% increase, reaching 17-year peaks, aided by rising bond yields. French President Emmanuel Macron hosted the emergency summit on Ukraine amid discussions of U.S. roles in peace talks. The Director General of the National Sports Commission, NSC, Honorable Bukola Olokbade, has commended Nigeria's badminton team for their remarkable performance at the All-Africa Senior Badminton Championship in Douala, Cameroon. The team secured a third-place finish on the overall medal table, winning 1 gold and 2 bronze medals at the prestigious continental event. A special highlight of the competition, or rather championship, was Anu Oluwakbo Okpeyoru's historic achievement as he clinched his 5th consecutive gold medal in the men's single event. He continues his dominance on the African stage, defeating Egypt's Adam Hetam 2-0 in the final. Nigeria also won bronze medals at the men's doubles and the mixed doubles. Algeria and Egypt secured the top 2 positions on the overall medals table. Atalanta has received a significant boost ahead of their upcoming Champions League clash against Club Brugge, with Nigerian international Ademola Lookman returning to full training on Monday, February 17. Now, Lookman, who's been sidelined due to a knee injury sustained just 2 days before a crucial match against Barcelona late last month. His recovery and return to group training is expected to enhance Atalanta's attacking options as they prepare for the upcoming fixture. Lookman's return is also a positive deployment, or rather development, for Super Eagles coach ahead of 2 crucial 2016-2026 FIFA World Cup qualifiers in March. And 2024 runner-up Kenanisa Bakali will compete once again in the TCS London Marathon and has been added to the 2025 men's elite field, announced on Monday by event organizers. The 42-year-old, who had a prolific career on the track and the roads, will race the same event where he set the 2-hour 4 minutes and 15 seconds men's Masters Marathon world records last year. He joins a star-studded men's field that includes Paris Olympic champion Tamirat Tola, reigning London champion Alexander Mutisu, world half-marathon record holder, that's Jacob Kimpilo, and 11-time world marathon major champion as well. Now, the 2025 TCS London Marathon will be held on Sunday, April 27th, 2025. And I cannot run 100 meters. But that's all we can take at this hour. But before we go, let's take another look at some of the major stories. Heavy police presence has raised tensions in Lagos State House of Assembly as legislators pass a vote of confidence on Speaker Mojisola Miranda. And Nigeria's federal government has deployed security agents as Nigerian Labour Congress insisted on protests over Telecom's tariff hike. And we also told you that gunmen have attacked in Benin that have now left 6 soldiers and even 7 assailants dead. Remember that you can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, on Star Times channel 274. We're also on Apple TV, and you can stream us live on YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Judith at TB.